Hello friends, Tal here and welcome to another Legion Beta video. Today taking a look at the glorious, the righteous, the protection Paladin. As with all these dungeon run videos, essentially I'm going to be doing this dungeon pretty normally, pretty standard, the way I would do it normally. And then as I'm doing it, I'm going to be talking about talent choices that I made, my thoughts on the spec, how it plays, and later on I'll give you more insight into my WeakAuras, my talents, things like that. But let's just go ahead and run right in here. As you can see, I'm tracking very specific things. I'm making sure that I have certain buffs up and that I'm able to track how long those buffs are lasting. Pretty standard. I mean, the Protection Paladin has changed a lot in the sense that you don't have a resource per se. Your resource now is charges of abilities. That is your resource. You're basically keeping track of how many Shield of the Righteous charges, how many Blessed Hammer or what's it called? Hammer of the Righteous charges you have. You're keeping track of when your Shield of the Righteous is on cooldown. If you take Seraphim, you're keeping track of when that's going to be up or how long it's up, things like that. You're making sure you're always in consecration. So this actually has a lot more WeakAuras of actual abilities that I'm tracking than the other ones, just because I'm trying to make sure that I'm keeping myself maximized as much as possible. Overall, my thoughts on it are there's a lot that you're kind of watching for, and I don't think it's bad per se, but I don't. It's actually reminds me a lot of the Protection Warrior in that it works and things get done, but it's not like my favorite or anything, by no means. I would say actually that the Protection Paladin, in fact, suffers a little bit from the fact that one of the main things in part of its active mitigation is Hammer, or not Hammer, but Light of the Protector and Hand of the Protector, which is a talent that you could take for Light of the Protector, and it just doesn't feel very powerful in general. I just don't feel like it's a powerful heal. I don't feel like it really is going to save you too often. Maybe with artifact traits and maybe some legendaries and set bonuses and things, it'll get a lot stronger, but as it stands, I don't find it to be all that great. And that's a bit of a problem. I do like their artifact ability, which is the Eye of Tear. It's going to do a lot of damage and reduce damage that everything around you does to you for 25%. So that's really cool. Let's go ahead and pop up Avenging Wrath, Seraphim. That's another cool thing I forgot to mention. Avenging Wrath being back is fantastic. It's nice to have a DPS cooldown that you can just use. And it doesn't have to be tied. It does increase the healing that you receive, so I mean it is tied to some sort of mitigation, but it's not necessarily about the mitigation. It's about, you know, being bursty and having wings and being a fucking badass for all of for all of a couple seconds. And I like that that's there. I like having that option. It's good to have that. But yeah, I mean, Seraphim has been changed to kind of work off Shield of the Righteous charges. You can activate it at 1 or 2 charges, and the duration will last a certain amount of time, depending on how long or how many charges you use. So essentially, you can keep it up for a decent amount of time, and when it drops, of course, you can start using your Shield of the Righteous. You can use your other abilities to continue to have mitigation on you, and that's kind of the style that I'm trying out right now. I say trying out because there's something to keep in mind when it comes to Seraphim and Shield of the Righteous. Shield of the Righteous reduces all damage on you by a significant amount. You can see here with the little mastery that I have, it's 55%. And it gets increased when you are standing in your consecration. So Shield of the Righteous is protecting you for a lot more than just physical damage now. And Seraphim, the amount of stats that it gives you isn't actually any more than it was in WoD. It's still 750. And as I'm sure you're aware, if you go up in levels in the game, 750 in WoD was a lot, but in Legion isn't as much. It's not as meaningful to you. So you put yourself into a situation where you're getting these stats off Seraphim that aren't necessarily all that great, and Shield of the Righteous is a lot better now. So is it worth having? I'm actually kind of interested in that, but I'm not going to use it right now. Is it worth using up those 2 charges of Shield of the Righteous to have Seraphim up for some stat increase, or should you just focus on keeping yourself protected? Honestly, I don't really know what the question is. I know that the math people will go ahead and figure that out for me, so I'll let you know as soon as I know. But I can say that it feels like it probably isn't worth it. I see Seraphim being used much more in a situation where, oh, you just need a damage boost for this moment because you're trying to kill this specific thing. I don't think we're going to go back to the days of weaving it and having it up all the time because it's so much more important than, you know, always needing Shield of the Righteous. I think that just because of how powerful Shield of the Righteous is now, that's going to be a scenario that we're running into. But I went ahead and spec Seraphim because I wanted to try it out. I want to see how it worked in a live environment. And just maybe to see if it works out in this video. As you can see, it's Crusader's Judgment, Blessed Hammer, Fist of Justice, Retribution Aura, Hand of the Protector, Light of the Judgment, and Seraphim. And seems like a decent pull. We have our artifact ability almost up. We're going to go ahead and pull this. We're going to use our Divine Protection and our Avenger Shield, Avenging Wrath, as well as Seraphim. Go ahead and pop all those together. A lot of protection, a lot of extra damage coming out from us. Let's see if we can AoE a lot of this stuff down and basically just see if we're making much of a meaningful difference here. So that rune does some power. Let's go ahead and get out of it. I think if I stand in it, I get a buff. Yeah, am I? Healing 2%. Yep. So, just going to heal for myself. I think I was still standing one of those mobs in there, but that's fine. We're back in the Halls of Valor again. I think I've already made either 1 or 2 videos in here. I do at least 2 dungeon runs on each character before I make these videos, so I'm starting to forget like where exactly I've been, if I'm totally honest. But that's okay. Go ahead and silence him. Oh yeah, we're a blood elf. We can do this. Oh, but that guy jumps backwards because he's a fucking asshole. So let me not get too close to that one. Let's pop Seraphim. Consecration. I will say it's important to remember Consecration you need to keep down as much as possible. It is going to be buffing your defensive abilities, and it's very, very important that you keep track of where your Consecration is and that you stand in it. The glyph that lets it move with you, like you have in WoD, I'm not entirely sure if that still exists or not, but I sure as hell don't have access to it right off the get-go. So keep that in mind when you're playing your Protection Paladin. Keep in mind that Consecration is super, super important. You need to have it down all the time, regardless of whether you're AoEing or single targeting. It needs to be down because it's buffing very important skills. Now, the thing about this is if I get close to him, well, there you go, he fucking jumped. So let's go fuck him in the face now. Consecration down. Blessed Hammer. Another thing that I need to point out is it seems like the next beta build will be making Blessed Hammer, when you talent into it, have 3 charges instead of 2 like it currently does. That is going to be changed, and just know that, I mean, I think it's a good change because you kind of run into situations where you have nothing to press for a little while, and having that extra charge of Blessed Hammer is going to be really, really nice. So it's just, to me, it feels more like a quality of life than anything else. Yes, Blessed Hammer is reducing the damage that things auto-attack you by 15%, so that's really important. But I honestly feel like it's more of a quality of life thing. It's just nice because you'll have more time actually pressing buttons. And that's always fun. But as you can see, I'm not having too much of a hard time. My health is spiking. That is something to keep in mind. My WeakAuras are kind of wonky right now because I can't make it track just either Blessed Hammer or Hammer of the Righteous, and I can't make it track just Light of the Protector or Hand of the Protector. For some reason, the WeakAuras is having a hard time differentiating between both of them. So you can see that my Hand of the Protector is like always up, and then sometimes my Blessed Hammer shows up as Hammer of Righteousness. I don't know why these people are running like that. So it's a little bit weird. Okay, we pulled everything, so let's go ahead. We're gonna go ham here for a second. Let's go pop Avenging Wrath. Do this, gather them all up together. We have that one doing damage to someone else right now, but it's fine. Let's go Eye of Tear. We're gonna reduce the damage they do. Let's heal ourselves, consecrate, put down a Blessed Hammer, put down another Blessed Hammer. Let's hit him with the shield so he gets silenced. Let's run back here because she's in range now and she already used her jump, so she won't be jumping again for a while. Consecrate, and we are all good. We kept control of that decently well. I'm sure that our healer was doing their job as well, so it's always good. We're fine. We're fine right now. But I do want to point out that as far as the strength of the Protection Paladin, I think they have a lot of utility that's going to be coming with them. That's really nice, especially, for example, Aegis of Light. I love this spell. I love that it's very thematic in that you're reducing damage all allies behind you take by 20% because you're raising a shield of light. So I like that it's so thematic. But as far as everything else for the Protection Paladin goes, it's not my favorite. I'm just gonna say that flat out. And in fact, I have more fun playing the Protection Warrior than I do the Prop Paladin. I feel that the Prop Paladin maybe needs just a couple of changes to how it plays exactly. I feel like there's too many charges on too many abilities, and it's like you're watching all these different things, and a lot of the joy of playing it kind of gets lost in translation. You're still building things up for like a big moment like you used to with holy power charges. You know, you had to keep track of them because you were building for a specific moment. So there's still that planning that's going on. But it doesn't, it's still happening it just feels different because you're watching charges of a bunch of different abilities instead of watching or thinking about how much of a resource an ability will generate. So it's a little bit weirder. But it still works. I mean, you see here, I'm taking a decent amount of damage. I'm not in danger of dying just yet. I have all these cooldowns available to me. I still had my heal coming back on a very short cooldown. It's 9-second cooldown. You can actually take a talent that reduces it further every time you shield the righteous. But I mean, pretty good overall. It's not in a bad place at all. I just don't like it as much, I guess, is just the best way to say it. I feel like it has too many things going on, whereas other tanks kind of got reduced a lot and kind of compartmentalized. I feel like prop paladins were originally compartmentalized, and then they had all this other stuff added. You still have the problem of Avenger shield not giving you any defensive benefit. I'm talking fucking zip. You get nothing from it until you get your artifact traits. That's awful, in my opinion. That is just poor planning. That's poor design. I don't think that it lighting up and giving you all... Where the fuck is the boss? I guess the... Did they move the boss? This boss used to be here. And then he moved over to the other side. So I don't really want to go in and do all that kind of shit, but it looks like they want the chest, so fuck them. Let's do it. Yeah, they did move the boss because he used to be right here. But I guess we're just going to run over to that end then. Okay, whatever. I guess you guys are going to see something new. It's either he changes every time you come in here, or they just change them in the most recent build. But I mean, I thought I did this dungeon in the most recent build. Whatever. Anyways, I completely lost track of what I was saying. It feels like they have a bunch of things. Okay, Avenger shield. That's what I was talking about. Avenger shield. It has no defensive benefit until you... What the fuck is this? Oh my god, I'm learning so much stuff. Equip the champion with elixir the plenty which grants order whole resources. Okay, well, fuck that. Avenger shield gives you a shield, an absorption shield, and does increase damage when you hit people after you get artifact traits. Until then, though, your Avenger shield is, you know, just a thing that exists. It has no real purpose besides just being shot out and doing some AoE threat and damage, which is fine, but it used to have such a big emphasis, and it still does. I mean, it lights up, for God's sake. It lights up, it tells you, oh my god, you need to press it, see these little graphic and everything, but nothing happens when you do besides just doing some damage. And I'm a proponent of doing damage, right? I'm all about doing some extra damage when you're not, you know, when you have the opportunity. But I still want some sort of defensive benefit for it. I still want to feel like, yeah, I'm helping my survivability. And I think that the fact that it only gets boosted after artifact traits, I mean, if anything, it should give you a boost and then artifact traits make that boost better. That makes more sense. But just the fact that it's completely tied to the artifact, that doesn't feel good in my opinion. It really doesn't. And leads to a situation where my Avenger shield's kind of my last priority. If Consecration isn't down, I'd rather use Consecration. If Shield of Righteous isn't up, I'd rather use Shield of Righteous. I would almost even rather use Blessed Hammer before I'd rather throw out my Avenger shield. That's not the way it's supposed to work out. It's my big rotational, my 8 to 14 second cooldown, and I say 8 to 4 seconds because some specs have 8 seconds, others don't. It's the cooldown that we use every couple seconds to do the thing. What is he pointing out? He's pointing to this area over here. Oh, there's the boss. Well, yeah, please, do go ahead and pull the boss when I'm tanking other shit, you fucking scrub. That's fucking helpful. So helpful. I'm glad they told me the boss was there because I wasn't paying attention. But I'm not happy he pulled it when I'm tanking this bear, and I don't even know what the bear does because I haven't tanked the bear before. That's great. That's fantastic. That's very helpful. Thank you so much. But anyways... That's the thing. What have I said? I covered Seraphim not being as strong as Shield of Righteous in general. I talked about Avenger's Shield. Light of the Protector is still basically giving you healing depending on your missing health. It scales with the less health that you have, but it doesn't, you know, it never really feels all that great. Judgment's another very important thing because it's reducing the cooldown on your Shield of Righteous charges, and when it crits, it reduces it by more than it was just standard. Everything is buff by consecration, so you want to be standing in it all the time. And overall, I mean, I understand the way to play the Protection Paladin. I just don't find it to be all that engaging, all that fun. It's not the best thing in the world. It's fine as far as, you know, damage reduction and tanking and being viable. Yeah, it's gonna be viable. Don't worry. Um, but I don't feel like I'm having as much fun as like when I'm playing anything else. I would say maybe even the Blood Decay is slightly more entertaining than the Prop Paladin, but that might be a little bit of a stretch because, you know, Blood Decay is kind of boring and it's very, very slow. But that might just be a gear thing. I'm sure the Protection Paladin as well, once you get a bunch of haste, because like everything is reduced by haste, once you get a bunch of haste, it's gonna feel better. But of course, you know, we're talking early days, we're talking right before we have all that gear and stuff, and it's obviously different. I love Eye of Tyr. I love that it's giving you that damage reduction, everything around you. I sincerely do believe that you could probably play the Prop Paladin having some sort of mitigation up on yourself at all times. If you're weaving in your Ardent Defenders with your Seraphim and your Shield of the Righteous, your Eye of Tyr, all of that. I do miss Divine Protection though. God, I miss Divine Protection so much. It was such a nice thing to have a cooldown that you could change with a glyph to either be more magic damage reduction or magic and physical reduction. As you can see, as far as magic damage reduction, we don't have much, which is why Shield of the Righteous does, you know, all damage now because they took away Divine Protection. So you can argue that it's more of a buff because now we have all that coming from. Let's go ahead and pop our fucking Guardian Ancient King. I think we're literally about to die. That's why they took away Divine Protection and made Shield of the Righteous, you know, stronger, because they're putting it all into Shield of the Righteous. But it doesn't feel super great, I guess is the best way for me to say it. It definitely, I can feel the difference. Shield of the Righteous is stronger because of it, but I do miss having that extra mitigation on top of that you can add with Divine Protection. Judgment, I feel like this tier, Aegis of Light is going to be the go-to for rating, but I'm going with Judgment of Light, just making sure that when I judge something, think when people hit it, they're just getting a little bit of healing instead of Consecrated Ground, because I think that this heals for more when people attack something versus this just healing AoE, and I don't really want to snare everything. I want things to run after me if I drop my Consecration and move out of the way for whatever reason. Hand of the Protector, as I was saying, it has a reduced cooldown than Light of the Protector. It should do the same thing, it just has a less cooldown. You could use it on other people. But yeah, I mean, there's not too much in regards of things to change out that I would really want to test. I feel like Blessed Hammer is probably the better option in this tier, unless of course you're going up against spell damage, so Holy Shield, or just wanting to AoE constantly with Consecrated Hammer. But like I said, it feels a little dull, feels a little bit dated. It's not as much fun. I really, really love my Protection Paladin on WoD. But that's with the caveat that I like it only because I'm overgeared on him. I have the fucking class trinket, the legendary ring. You know, I can do stupid things with it. I like it because in WoD, the class is stupid and broken beyond belief. That's why I like it in WoD. So I'm very aware of that. That's not the reality of the situation. That's not the reality of the class. That's not the way it's meant to be played. It's not really the truth of it all. And I'm very sensitive to that fact. I'm trying to not base all of my opinions on that spec, the one that's in WoD, because I know that it's not a real spec. It's a spec that was weak for a very long time, that got changed with a class trinket and set bonuses and a overpowered ring, frankly. So it's not the real true nature of that spec is not the way that it's played right now in Legion, in Warlords of Draenor. And the nature of the spec in Legion, I understand it. I get how it goes. I think that numbers-wise, it'll be fine. I don't think that you're going to be taking Seraphim for a long time, if ever, personally speaking. I mean, even as just a DPS choice, not to have it up all the time. So, okay, let me pull back. I think that the days of keeping it up as often as possible all the time, I think that may be gone, and I think it's going to be moved over to, you know, when you specifically want to burst something down with DPS, when you specifically need to do more damage to something and you don't need the mitigation. So it's not a keep it up as often as you can, then keep everything else up. I think it's going to be like, this thing needs to die, let's use that. Because in the same tier you have reducing the healing, your healing ability and your avenging graph. If it was just the healing ability, I would say this talent's pointless, because you have such a low cooldown on the healing ability if you go Hand of the Protector, and even then it doesn't heal for that much. Hand of the Protector, Light of the Protector really doesn't heal for all that much, not as much as you would think that it would. and it's kind of crippled because of it. The other thing that you have to keep in mind is that Avenging Wrath, having the lower cooldown, that's really nice as a DPS boost, so that gives you that option versus Seraphim. And then Last Defender just reduces the damage that you take flat out. It gets reduced by, it's diminishing returns the more things are around you, but I'm sure that in a cleave scenario, in a 3-thing scenario, and just standard AoE, you'll be fine, you'll be choosing it. So it's interesting to me to keep in mind that maybe Seraphim won't be working the exact same way that we're used to. But I mean, I don't really have too much else to say as far as how it plays, what I'm doing here at the dungeon. I'm just making sure Consecration's down, using my Blessed Hammer, Shield of the Righteous is up, Avenger's Wrath because it's blinking and I'm too used to using it all the time even though it's like dog shit now. I like keeping up my Shield of the Righteous. I like that the charge system is there so I can sort of keep it up all the time, but more importantly keeping up for important things. We are going to Shield of the Righteous, or Avenger Shield this bitch because he casts. He's going to come down here now, and he's going to make my life so much easier than it was when I was playing the Druid. Yes, it will. We're going to use Seraphim right now because why the fuck not? Blessed Hammer, Consecrate, Blessed Hammer, interrupt that, Judgment, Blessed Hammer, Avenger's Wrath, Blessed Hammer, Shield of the Righteous, Judgment, put this down. Oh, Blood Elf, bitch, get silenced. I'm telling you guys, Blood Elf, Master Race for more reasons than just Transmog. That Arcane Torrent, so good. So good. People don't believe me, people don't listen to me, but it's fucking fantastic. Alright, let's move up here. Boop. Was it the Blood DK? Was I here on the Blood DK? Cause did I do the Guardian Druid here and then I did the Blood DK and I had to stop because we lost our healer and we got to this boss and I was like, well this basically explains it. I think that's what happened. That's actually really funny that it happened with the Blood DK and the fucking Protection Paladin. They're both kind of boring. And they're supposed to be like the mirror image of each other, which is that's pretty funny. Okay, anyways. We're going to go ahead and start this. Seraphim, Blessed Hammer, Consecrate, Judgment, Avenger Shield, Blessed Hammer. We go ahead and save our charges because we're going to have to deal with that fucking spell that he uses in a little bit. And Shield of the Righteous. Shield of the Righteous. Oh my god, Shield of the Righteous. Shield of the Righteous. There we go. The whole point was I was going to Shield the Righteous before I got hit by those things, not run back into them just to get the Shield the Righteous, because obviously I'm taking more damage by doing that shit because that's fucking dumb. But the idea, the intent was to Shield the Righteous, then run out so that I could have that damage reduction if one of those did hit me for any reason. I promise, that was the original intention. I'm not dumb. Shield the Righteous, run out. It's going to chase me. And then we're just kind of doing this. Let's make sure that he dies somewhere over here so we're not... Yeah, okay, well that's close enough. Then we run over here. Throw our Sheared, we Seraphim, we Judgment, we Blessed Hammer. I should have consecrated way before. Judgment, we're going to stand in this little purple box and laugh because this guy is like super easy. Shield of the Righteous, as soon as Seraphim's down, Avenger Shield, Blessed Hammer, Avenger Shield, Judgment, Blessed Hammer, Avenger Shield. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty set in stone. I think a lot of the complaints that people have had about the Protection Paladin and their changes in WoD have been the fact that you lack so many choices, that it's pretty much you just use the same thing all the time. And I think that that's a valid criticism that honestly is probably still here. There's not really, you're hitting things when they're off cooldown. It's a little bit of whack-a-mole. There's not as much choices, of course. There's not as much of an integration as, my love and my pride and my joy of the Vengeance Demon Hunter. Oh, he moves, so it doesn't even matter where I put him. He goes to that spot. Okay, that makes sense. But I mean, it is what it is. Let's go ahead and pull this person over here. Blah, blah, blah. Consecrate. Seraphim, Avenging Wrath, Blessed Hammer, another Blessed Hammer because I pressed it too many times really quickly, Blessed Hammer again because why the fuck not, Consecrate, Avenger's Wrath, Judgment. We're going to have to move soon, so let's keep that in mind. We're going to we're gonna shield the righteous right before we move, so when she hits us in the back, it doesn't hurt as much. Moving, 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 all the way over here. Fuck. So I like that ability because it does help you move the boss very quickly. If you're like a poor blood DK and your Wraith Walk is on cooldown because, you know, get fucked, you have no movement. She's about to do her Sanctify, so now we move out of here. Throw our Judgment because it's important to keep that on cooldown. We want more charges. Just, you know, standing at edge, blah, blah, blah. And I guess she just does it more often. Jesus Christ, end already. Okay. And heal ourselves back up for some of that. And now she's going to knock me away at some point. She's knocking me away, knocking me away. Boom! Okay, now we're over here. Come over here. Come on. I'm honestly, I was told that you need to keep moving it in between both of these so that she doesn't get too strong either way. I know why you don't want to have her in the middle because obviously she'll do both abilities at the same time. But I'm curious how bad it really is if I just stand here with her the entire time. Like, it doesn't seem like she's getting any buffs, but I'm not really able to keep track of that, if I'm totally honest. So I don't really know what would happen, but I mean, I figure I'll probably do it to my guildies at some point this expansion, and I can just kind of laugh at them. I'll probably do it when we're overpowered. We'll come into the Mythic Dungeon. I'll just stack her in the middle and watch them all die just for shits and giggles. Because I'm that kind of guy. I definitely am. I will troll the shit out of my team. What I don't like about this boss right here is that it does highlight a weakness of the Protection Paladin, though. You need to be in your consecration as much as humanly possible. You do. And you don't get to be in it as much when she's pushing you around, when there's movement all the time. Like, that is a weakness that unless that glyph comes back to let you move with consecrate, it is going to be a weakness that you need to keep in mind. You need to be in your consecrate as often as humanly possible, and that's not always a possibility. I mean, bosses have a lot of movement phases. Things make you move. Things make you have to prioritize getting out of the way of shit and not dying more than, you know, your personal buffs. So that's kind of a thing to keep in mind. It could be a problem. I don't know for sure. But overall, I mean, at this point, I'm just repeating everything that I've said a bunch of times already. I don't really know if there's much more that I can possibly say about the spec. It is what it is. It plays fine, I guess. It's not... It doesn't excite me. It doesn't make me, like, super crazy happy or anything. I understand the way that it works. I get what they're going for here. I feel like they have the tools that they need to survive raid encounters. I'm starting to think, I was assuming this was going to be the truth either way, but I was assuming, and I feel like I take more damage than the other tanks, which could account for one of the reasons that Shield of Righteous, you know, reduces damage by so much. But it definitely feels like you're meant to take more damage than someone else's, and that's why you have more damage reduction and abilities to help you out with it. It's just that doesn't always work, especially when you're under geared. That can put you in very easily into situations where you just get face fucked by certain abilities until you have a certain level of gear, and that's, you know, that's never fun. So it's something to keep in mind, I would say. Yeah, I mean, I'm slightly more on guard than I was with my... Why would you do this? Why do you do this, guys? Come on, don't fuck me when I'm trying to make a video. They're gonna pull... Yep, they're gonna pull that because we got too close. We're gonna Avenging Wrath here, and we're gonna hope that everything goes fine. If not, I will pop Guardian of Ancient Kings. Doesn't seem like we'll be too much danger, though. If they stand in the raid group with that, then we will, because they need to move out of the raid group with that. The party, I mean. The dungeon group, whatever the fuck. We move out of that rune. Let me stand in that rune, make sure I'm protected. I haven't mentioned them yet, but having your blessings in, like, your hand of light is really, really fucking nice, because it does, you know, help keep you alive, help get you through things. It's that's one of the reasons I think Protection Paladins will be wanted, at least on some levels, because they do have Hand of Sacrifice, Hand of Freedom, Bop. They have the new Spell Warding Talent, which is like Magical Bop, which is going to be really nice. But you know, Ret Paladins bring the same thing, and they have greater blessings, which is even, you know, even better than that now. That's going to be fucking ridiculous. But Prop Paladins do have some things that make them stand out, which is just the cooldowns and the utility to do other things. Now, I'm not sure if this is a healing monk. Is it a healing monk? It is a healing monk. Okay, so we're missing a DPS. We're not missing a healer, which is good, which means we can finish this this dungeon. Oh, but God, I really wish I could change my talents. Please, Blizzard, you're killing me with this fucking no talent swapping bullshit. It feels bad. It feels awful. It doesn't feel like the WoW that I know and love. It feels like you guys are making an excuse to give Inscription something more to have and do, and it's fucking the rest of the game. Honestly, it just is. I really want to change my talent to be Last Defender or Righteous Protector. I feel myself thinking that Seraphim is just not that great. But yeah, I mean, shit, man. What else could I say about the Prop Paladin? As with the other tanks, when you have all the artifacts, you know, it's a big difference because your Avenger shields start giving you protection and healing and damage, and I mean, let's see. Yep, pounces, shields you, Light of the Protector heals you for more. The artifact traces do nice stuff. We lost. Man, shut the fuck up. Go ahead and throw a shield at him, bring him over here because this is the next guy that I'm going to talk to. And I'm all about efficiency and making shit go by quickly. So let's pop Seraphim, Judgment, Blessed Hammer, Blessed Hammer. We're going to interrupt that, Consecrate, Judgment, throw out our shield, Blessed Hammer, Shield of the Righteous him in the face, Judgment, Consecrate, Blessed Hammer, Shield of the Righteous, throw my shield, throw a Judge, throw a Blessed Hammer, throw a shield, interrupt him, Consecrate, and Judgment, and Blessed Hammer, and Blessed Hammer. You can kind of see that it's pretty not stale, sort of stale. I don't know. It's just not crazy amounts of fun. I would never call this, you know, oodles and oodles of fun. Which for some people that's going to be kind of a problem because they love the Protection Paladin. They love the way that it plays. It's their main. It's what they've been playing since forever. And it's going to be a big difference. It really is. It's just not my cup of tea. Maybe it's just me. That's something that I actually haven't said yet, but maybe it's just me not enjoying it as much. Maybe it's not really my playstyle. Maybe I only liked it in WoD because it was broken. I mean, that's, you know, possible. But I just don't find it as fulfilling or as fun. But I do like all their utility. I do like their Aegis of Light. That thing's really fucking cool. I like their artifact ability. Oh my god, thank you for having both of them. Fucking appreciate you so much right now. Appreciate you two so much. Keep our Seraphim up. As soon as it drops, we're gonna pop Shield of the Righteous. Blessed Hammer, Blessed Hammer. We're taking some damage. Let's get healed up. Blood Elf interrupt. We're gonna IF tier because I think we're taking some heavy damage. Holy shit! And we got bursted down hard. Shield of the Righteous. Heal up again. Shield of the Righteous. Avenger shield. We're not gonna use Seraphim because these things are actually really fucking hitting hard. I don't really want to deal with that right now. Shield of the Righteous. And that's the thing that I was talking about earlier. I don't think Seraphim's really going to be used as much or as often the way that it is now. I think that it's really honestly going to be relegated to being in just very specific scenarios. Like right now I'm out of Shield of Righteous charges, which kind of feels bad. There is that talent that lets you have more charges of Shield of Righteous. I just don't... It's in the very first tier, and I kind of feel like Crusader's Judgment isn't really proccing as often. So maybe Bastion of Light would be good, which gives you the more charges, Heal of Righteous, or First Avenger. But that could also just be a gearing thing because, again, it's reduced by haste. Once you get enough haste, it really doesn't feel that bad. Aegis of Light. Aegis of Argamar creates a shield for allies that absorbs all damage taken from the front for 12 seconds. Yes. Yes, let me do that. I am tank, hear me roar.
protest comes too late. If these false champions will not yield the Aegis by choice, then they will surrender it in death. Give up the Aegis or die!
I mean, it's not really asking nicely, is it? It's not nice at all. Maybe if you would have said please, I would have considered it. If he was casting Ragnarok, let's cast our Aegis of Light. Stand behind me, friends. This is actually the same animation, but it's a lot smaller. But it's the same animation as the Aegis of Light talent, and I'm sure that it actually was, sort of inspired by this. So now he's gonna get it. He's gonna be defending himself, but all we have to do is stand behind him because he's kind of an idiot that doesn't know how to turn around. That's how that goes. But yeah, I mean, it's nice. I like the way that this works, in the sense that I understand it very easily. I understand when, Shield of Righteous Charges is your resource. You just got to keep track of that. As long as you have WeakAuras or you have a nice, eye that you're able to keep track of everything, it works out fine. I really don't like Light of the Protector, Hand of the Protector personally. I've said multiple times I like self-healing on tanks, but I like self-healing that's like good. If that makes sense. This self-healing doesn't feel good. This self-healing feels like just pitiful. It doesn't feel like it's going to save your life at any point. It feels more like you're going to, be spamming it many times throughout an encounter, trying desperately to stay alive. It doesn't feel like you're going to, be using it in a really awesome moment. Look at this thing, spinning around with that shit. I wonder if you can actually go and pick it up before he does. That's actually very curious about that. I'm going to see if I can do that this time. He said claim the Aegis, so I'm claiming the Aegis now. I think maybe prop paladins have way too many things they have to keep track of. Not that you have to keep track of, but like, it's too much shit. There's too much shit. And I mean that not in the sense that I want them to prune more. I mean literally all your buttons do such small little things together that make up your, the way that you stay alive. And so many of them are seemingly unimportant that it feels like you just have a bunch of little shitty buttons that are doing things together. What is this? It's an artifact. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. This is the second artifact I've gotten so far. Yeah. 4 item levels, Resolve of Truth increases my maximum health. That's cool. Now we kill Odin and we're done. We will finish the raid, the dungeon, not the raid. I keep fucking saying raid. But yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty easy to see how the spec works. I don't think that it's going to take, a genius to do it. I still am not super sure on Seraphim. I really don't think it's going to be the go-to talent like it was before. I think it's going to have its situations, and more importantly, I think that it needs to be buffed, because I don't think that as it stands, it is strong enough to justify taking two charges of Shield of the Righteous away. That you can argue that you don't have to take 2 charges away. It can cost 1. But the math people, who is not me, are going to be able to tell you for sure whether that's going to be the scenario, the case, if that's going to be the better thing to do. So someone told me wants to move him over these pillars, and I don't know why. I mean, I don't think it actually does shit. Maybe I need to do it when he spawns them? I'm going to try. Let me see if I can get him in here. I don't think he actually did anything. We just want to be away from this. Oh shit. Okay, well that fucking hurt. I don't know why someone told me to move him over the spears once, because all I did was get too close to the spears, and when he pops them and stuns you and fucks your face, it's not good at all. So we're gonna go ahead and make him put all the spears together, and then we're gonna get the fuck away from them. Cause holy shit. No, he's spawning more spears. You let me know when you want to shatter them. I'm gonna run the fuck away. Oh, fucking horsey out of there. Judgment. You wanna pop him? You wanna pop him just yet? Oh, he's gonna spawn more. What an asshole. Shit. Okay. Okay, there's not as many balls as I thought it was. I just was not prepared for that because I wasn't expecting it, if I'm honest. Come on, get your buff. Get the buff. Eye of Tear. I mean, I really don't think there's much else to say about the spec. The artifacts have already gone over. The items have already gone over. You're seeing the dungeon run right now. You've seen overall the evolution of my thoughts on the spec, the way that it was when the artifact came out. You saw the quest for it. You saw my updated impressions on it. You've seen everything. I really don't think that there's much else I can say about the spec besides the fact that it works. It's functional. I think it will be able to, raid tank and be fine. But I don't have a lot of fun playing it. I don't think it's in the best spot it's ever been. And frankly, I think that a lot of it is kind of just stale. It feels stale to play. I want to go ahead and show you guys my WeakAuras and my talent choices. Again, just more thoughts on that as far as dungeons go. But for WeakAuras, I am tracking a shit ton of shit. So I'm tracking how long Seraphim's up. I'm tracking how long Shield of Righteous is up. I'm tracking Blessed Hammer / Hammer of the Crusader, the charges, and how long it's up. Shield of Righteous, the charges, and how long it's up for it to come back up. I'm tracking when Seraphim is available, when it's being off cooldown. Judgment available, Judgment cooldown, Consecration, Avenger Shield, Hand of the Protector, and Light of the Protector. Not tracking my big cooldowns and such because you kind of get a feel for when it's going to be up. You kind of know, and they're used at very specific moments. You can track that, of course. I just don't feel like it's as important. I don't need to track it as much. Of course, you're a DPS. You have to track that shit because it has to be down packed. But as a tank, you have pretty set in moments that you're going to be using each thing, so it's not as big of a deal. Beyond that, I mean, talent-wise, I still think that this is entirely pointless when you're by yourself, but when you're in a raiding scenario, Blessing and Spell Warding is probably going to be the go-to if you don't specifically need Bop. Mythic dungeons that have reduced threat from the tank, you're going to be taking Blessing of Salvation, but then Retribution Aura is kind of just a standard one. I still hate this ability. If people are being hit by melee attacks from other mobs, you're not tanking, you're failing in your job. And if they get hit once and then you pick it up and now it's on you, well, now that talent's pointless for the rest of the entire fight because it's very specifically melee strikes. So I hate this talent, but there's really, if I need Bop, I don't want to have spell warding and then want to use Bop on someone, but then it's only protecting them from magical damage. I don't want to fuck myself over by taking this and then locking myself out of Bop. I want to take this for specific encounter mechanics and have Bop for everything else. Blessed Hammer is still really good. Holy Shield, Consecrated Hammer. I think it's going to be a lot of contention whether what's the best here. I feel like Blessed Hammer is probably the best. It's just not the most fun to use because it's spiraling outwards and you have to make sure it's hitting them with the animation and everything. Again, Seraphim, I really think that Seraphim's just not going to be the go-to choice as much, but I don't really know what is. The 100 tier is very lackluster, I feel like. There's nothing that gives you that big oomph, that big, amazing moment. But, I mean, that's kind of how it is for right now. But yeah, guys, I mean, that's it. That's my dungeon run of the Prop Paladin. It's glorious in its animations, and its name, and where the magic comes from, and all that kind of stuff. But when you're playing it, it kind of puts me to sleep. I kind of feel tired having played it, because I was kind of bored. But yeah, guys, that's that. That's my dungeon run. Subscribe if you want to see more. Brewmaster Monk is the next one. And if any changes happen on the Legion beta build update, which is usually on Thursdays, if anything happens, come to the channel. You'll go ahead and see what the changes are to the tanks. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. My name is Tal, and I'll see you around.